Hold on, I'm on here twice.
There it is right there.
Oh,
There
hey,
you go.
live TD Report. I'm your host, David Combs. I'm here with Tony Kennedy. And I think we've got a little bit of an echo, but Cody's going to fix that for us. Tony, we've had an interesting thing go on in the NFL the last few weeks. You've had three premier quarterbacks in the league, either through anonymous reports or something leaked that has questioned the way that they played football or the dedication that they have to the game. So we'll start with the most recent. Kyler Murray of the Arizona Cardinals, less than a week ago, signed a $230 million deal. He's going to be making $46 million a year to quarterback the Arizona Cardinals. He is a was he a number one pick? Former number one pick? And could have played baseball. He was a top 10 pick in that sport. And led the Arizona Cardinals to an 11-6 record last year. Not bad for, what is his third year? Hey, Jody Coleman. Thanks for joining us, Jody.
Hey, what's happening? How y'all feeling?
Doing great.
What's up, brother?
Hey, Jody, I'm just setting up the show a little bit on the quarterback thing. So I just introduced the Kyler Murray thing. So now that Kyler Murray has signed his deal, next year the money kicks in. So this year will be his last year on that rookie deal. Right, Tony? Right? So word comes out that there's going to be a study component for him to meet the goals of his contract. Devin Mason from POV Sports is on here. Quarterback.
All in here today, baby.
What's up, baby?
Got them all in here, man.
Listen, we all know that quarterbacks have to study.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
They've got to study.
Yeah,
they got to know the playbook. They've got to know sight reads. They've got to know the hot reads. They've got to know all the shifts. And it's not just what he's supposed to be doing. He's supposed to be able to wave that running back. You in the wrong spot. You over here. You on the wrong side. Because I'm about to turn this way. You see what I'm saying? Do we think, let's ask this question. We watch football. Tony, I'm going to start with you. Do we think that Kyler Murray is not studying? Do we think he's not doing everything that he needs to be the best player he can be?
Say, no player in the history of this game is above criticism.
I love it.
No one. Okay, so now we got that disclaimer out.
Okay.
This is some BS. Because if you felt that this guy ain't 4 hours a week, we do 4 hours a week on the TV report.
Shit, I do more than that with my quarterback in high school.
Right?
4 hours a week in
Come on, man. That ain't nothing.
To say that, dude, that's taking a piss.
Jody, what do you think?
Well, basically, man, I think it's like Tony said, nobody's above criticism. I don't care if you the great Tom Brady or Matthew Stafford, whoever it is, you're not above criticism. But we got to all understand and agree that they would have never put this type of verbiage in Josh Allen's contract. This would never have been in Tom Brady's contract or Joe Montana or Drew Brees' contract. But you put it in Kyler Murray's contract after a guy that's I think performed above what they asked him to do, being a 5'7" quarterback in the NFL, and to produce at the level. Don't he have over close to 90 touchdowns total for his career in a 3-year span? He's been to the playoffs, a team that hadn't tasted playoffs prior to him, going back to Carson Palmer. I think it's complete BS to put that in there for this kid. He's been a winner at every level. In high school, I don't even think he lost a game. I think he won a state championship like 3 or 4 times in high school. And Texas is one of the meccas of high school in the country. He go to college and he wins the Heisman. And I'm like, I want to see other quarterbacks' contracts in that matter. And 4 hours is ridiculous. I think he loves the game. Okay, he had a bad game against the Rams, who won the Super Bowl. Who won the Super Bowl? I mean, y'all act like they lost to the Detroit Lions. No disrespect. I think they did lose to them in the regular season, but you lost to the champs. You lost to Aaron Donald, Von Miller, Jalen Ramsey, 3 guys that's going to be in the Hall of Fame. 3 guys are going to be Hall of Fame. The defensive coordinator was a head coach prior to. Was it an excellent defensive coordinator? They just had his number. I think this is complete BS, and I want to see other people's contracts. And I just think it's not right for this kid to have to go through what he's going through.
Look at the comment. It's an actual quote from Kyler Murray. Dev, can you read what he said in that quote? Go on the comment and read what he said.
It was disrespectful that outsiders thought he would reach the levels he has, a starting quarterback in the NFL, not being a student of the game. It's almost a joke, he said. I'm flattered that y'all think that my size, I can go out there and not prepare for the game and not to take it seriously. Devin, what do you think about that?
I piggyback with Jody. And Tony says, as a matter of fact, Jody, he went 42-0 at Allen High School, which is Class 7A, the highest you play in Texas.
Right.
They play against the Westlakes and the school the Skylines and the Duncanvilles. Those are the teams he had to beat to win championships 3 years in a row, and he did it 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. So he never played a down of JV. He was the backup as a freshman. So the guy's been a problem his whole career, but it's an issue going around the league because the black quarterback is top three of the first 3 to 4 highest paid guys are black. 5 of the top 10, and when Lamar gets his deal, it's going to be 6 of the top 10. Annual average value will be black guys, quarterbacks. That's never been thought of. And I told Tony the biggest problem is this isn't the prototypical 6'5" pocket guy anymore. That's the biggest issue.
Yeah,
it's not the guy that they said you had to be to play at this level. We talked about it earlier. Me and Tony said we can only think of one statue left in the league, and that's Tom Brady. There is no other statue. Everyone else can at least get out of harm's way enough to make throws. Brady's the only guy that's, even with him, he's a statue, but he manipulates the pocket so well that he's able to avoid stuff too. But if you're talking a guy that you would say, can I get to him without him moving, it's going to be Tom Brady. I don't see another starter that is really that really doesn't move well enough to get away from pressure. Everyone else has feet and can get away and can throw on the run. Even Mac Jones, he's not a bad athlete for the Patriots. He can move. He can move. So I think a lot of it goes back to Kyler Murray making a comment about he doesn't look at film like he's not going to spend hours and hours every day doing it. He did make that comment last year. So in a way, he kind of made it so that they could say something. But at the end of the day, this is total BS because how do you expect him to lead on the field and in practice and in the locker room and you throw him under the bus? You can't do that. You just can't do that. That is
exactly, Jeff. They cut him off at his knees. Now
they did.
You're a coach, and by the way, we appreciate everything you do for these young guys, these signal callers. So listen, you as the coach and your quarterback, y'all got to be like this, literally. If you're going to get things to work, the two of you guys can't be at odds. He can't cut you off at your knees. Your authority, it's the coach. Hey, coach, don't call that. Wait a minute. I'm calling the police. Okay, we're going to run something on a flat concept. No, coach, we need to go vertical. That should be done in the film room. Talk, right? And you would counsel a young quarterback, hey, young fellow, when you get to that next level, that college, maybe the pro, and you're sitting in a quarterback room, when the coordinator, the coach turns around and says, all right, fellas, what do you think? Hey, coach, go back to play number 7. I think we can go vertical here. That's your time to say, I've been studying. This is what I think we can do here. You know, we've got one high safety. We can go vertical, or we can go underneath. You know, we don't need to go flat concept. Devin, what do you think about the next quarterback that was basically smeared? We're going to be talking now about Patrick Mahomes, who just tweeted a defensive coordinator said that once he gets past his first read, he plays street ball. Now, we all know what that means. Devin, why don't you enlighten our listenership on what that means when someone says that about a quarterback?
Well, what he's saying is, and Mahomes did show that earlier in the season last year. So y'all follow me quick. The first 8 games, Mahomes had, I think, 7 or 8 picks, and they were 4-3, I believe. And a lot of it was, I'm gonna throw it downfield, and I really don't give a damn if they're double or triple in Tyreek Hill. I'm gonna take the loss. So once he stopped doing that, you saw he wasn't a one-read guy. He started using Kelsey more. He started using the backs out the backfield, and they used the other receivers more, which was a real blessing in disguise because now they don't have Tyreek. So that was a learning moment for him. That now they felt comfortable watching him do that throughout the year. Look at the playoff games. They didn't get real deep balls on to Tyreek. Those were underneath routes that he just took the distance. So it was Mahomes checking down and going through his progression and taking what the defense was giving them. They weren't going to give you one-on-one with the fastest player in the league. They're going to leave 2 deep safeties. You're not going to get that. You have to understand. And the way that their pass rush was coming, it didn't give Bieniemy time to run a route towards one of the safeties to occupy his eyes because they were already on top of Mahomes. So I have to be more diligent, check the ball down, be willing to take the little stuff. It became so easy for him, sort of like Tua at Alabama, when he was throwing all them deep touchdowns. And then when who was that? LSU got after him a little bit his second year. Clemson got after him in the championship game. His second year LSU, third year LSU beat him. His second year Clemson beat him in the championship. Them 2 games are microcosms of a guy that had everything come easy. And the minute pressure got around him, he folded at times, because it was so easy. I was throwing 40, 50-yard strikes to Devontae, to Ruggs, to Judy. Then I had Herb Smith catching passes. It was easy. It was Josh Jacobs catching.
But now those looks are gone.
They're gone. So I have to understand how to play the position from the head up. Because right now I'm just playing it with athleticism. That's when the mental part of the position comes in. And that's what I think Mahomes developed late last year. I didn't believe he was beyond a first read guy most of the time either. I just thought he was so off schedule and so dynamic that you overlooked that. So same thing with Tua at Alabama. The off schedule stuff, you didn't care about the one read, the quick zone read, belly pull, throw the slant pattern. That's all you saw him doing. That's all he ever did besides that and the deep ball. So for me, to see Mahomes actually show that he could go through progression last year was huge for his confidence going into this season. Huge.
Hey, Jody, and thanks for that, Devin. That's excellent.
Thank you.
Jody, when we're talking about a Patrick Mahomes and the street ball comment, why don't we hear that about Brett Favre? Why don't we hear that about Tony Romo? When those guys were back there scrambling and running around, or Kenny Stabler, those guys were considered gunslingers, thinkers on their feet. But when a Kyler Murray does it, it's freelancing, it's street ball. Why don't we hear that about other quarterbacks?
You know what, Dave? And I want to go back to Dev. You spot on once again. I mean, flawless.
Appreciate you, bro.
But what I want to say about Patrick Mahomes, it's amazing that you have a guy that's been a former MVP, Super Bowl MVP, been to the AFC Championship game 4 years in a row. Yeah, they lost to the Bengals. He threw an interception at the crucial point in that game. Whatever. Guy that's thrown 50 touchdown passes in his first year as a starter. He's never lost in regular. He lost in overtime in both the AFC Championship games.
Hey,
and
Joey,
we're still talking about this guy can't play the quarterback position.
That's ridiculous.
It's amazing that we sit up here and criticize a guy like Patrick Mahomes, say he's not going to be good because he doesn't have Tyreek Hill, when Tyreek Hill was a 5th-round draft pick. Let's stop acting like he was the #1 pick off the board. So let's stop acting like everybody had Tyreek Hill as being the top wide receiver that we ever seen, because he wasn't. Because if he was, he would have got drafted well before the 5th round. Okay? Let's stop talking about Kelsey being the next coming of Gronkowski or Shannon Sharp, because he was picked in the 4th round. I'm saying all to say this. We don't criticize the Josh Allens of the world, who has 420 carries since he's been in the league. He has more rushing touchdowns than Lamar Jackson.
He does.
He struggled before he got Stephon Diggs. Go back and look at his numbers. But nobody criticized Josh Allen. All we hear is Buffalo is going to win the Super Bowl, who's lost to Patrick Mahomes twice already. He's lost to Patrick Mahomes twice. He's thrown crucial interceptions in the playoffs. He's been blown out by Kansas City in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
He has.
But we consistently give Josh Allen a pass. I like Josh Allen. I'm not picking on him. I'm just giving perspective.
Yeah, I like him.
It's another guy in New York for the Giants who's ain't done a damn thing and has not been. They have not one time
Don't get
said we're
Tony
going to
started,
pick a quarterback.
Danny
Replace
Nichols.
Danny
Danny
Dimes.
Nichols.
Oh,
Danny
Lord.
Nichols.
We have-
Tony caller.
This guy has the most turnovers, fumbles, and interceptions since he's entered the league. And I have not heard one inkling about this guy not being able to play the quarterback position. But we're going to talk about an NFL MVP when Tom Brady is still playing elite football.
Yep.
He beat out a Tom Brady and won a Super Bowl during the Tom Brady era.
Yep.
But we're going to say that this guy's playing street ball because of play breakdown. I love Brett Favre, is one of my best and favorite quarterbacks of all time. And this guy has more interceptions than anybody that we can name.
Mm-hmm.
But he's still considered as a gunslinger.
That's the narrative. The narrative around Brett Favre always was he was a fun-loving country boy playing football. He was Dandy Don Meredith. Okay. So, Tony, you've heard from Devin. You've heard from Jody. What is your take on the situation with Patrick Mahomes? Is it a case where he has had so much success early in his career and he's a phenom with his arm talent? Is this inevitable that somebody would try to knock him down a few pegs? Or is it something else?
It's fine, but don't come at me with code talk with street ball, meaning he plays like a black person or whatever. Don't hit me with that bullshit. Now, here's what the biggest point that I want to make. 1960, Green Bay lost the championship to Philadelphia. The only playoff game Vince Lombardi has ever lost. He went into Vince Lombardi and told Lombardi, behind closed doors, you cannot come at me like this in front of the team. If you expected for me to lead, you can get at me, but we're going to do it behind closed doors. But out there, I need to be the one to get on them. You can't come at me like this because you expecting for me to lead these guys. Ever since that conversation, they were 9-0 and 4 or 5 championships later. They knew what the hell they were doing. You notice Bill Belichick Brady like that and lessen him in front of his team because he needed him to lead them out there on that field. There's a difference, man. Some stuff we shouldn't be talking about this because if you got good management, this would have never leaked out. If this is a problem, then this is a management and a coaching. Y'all handle that. You don't bring them out in the open. Now, how you gonna expect for this guy to lead? Because somebody gonna get in their thing and be like, man, you can't tell me what to do, man. You need to be watching some film. And the minute that happens, the team is gonna split. And
right,
hard to me. I mean,
okay.
Don't.
So I'm going to start with Devin on this. The beginning of this week, earlier this week, we had the comments made by a anonymous defensive coordinator that Lamar Jackson of the Ravens was not a number one in terms of being a leader, and that if he has to throw the football, you're going to beat him every time. Some other derogatory things were said about the young man. Now, we're talking about somebody that's, I believe, check me if I'm wrong, he's 25 games over 500 as a starter. Is that correct?
Yep, 37-12.
The 5 years before, the 80 games before he became the starter for the Ravens, they were 40-40.
40-40.
Going nowhere. Just
nowhere.
Stuck in neutral.
Yep.
He changed the whole complexion of that team and that franchise in terms of their thoughts about the future. And he was he a second round pick?
He was the last pick of the first round. Pick of the first round.
He's numbered like 30th pick in the
32.
32. Last pick of the first round.
Yep. So what we haven't heard about Lamar Jackson, and I would bring this to you because you're a coach. Do the coaches have a responsibility with the raw material that they have? Let's say he's made it up to this point just on his physical gifts and his instincts, and he's 25 games over. Somebody's got to help this young man out, whether it be personnel, whether it be scheme, shift, whatever it takes. His stats do not tell me that he's not a good passer. The stats don't say that. Yards per throw, yards, you see what I'm saying? Total yards, touchdowns. You don't win an MVP of this league as a quarterback and you weren't passing that football.
Unanimous. Only Tom Brady can say that too. Unanimous MVP.
So help me, Dev. What's going on here?
The issue with him is the regression since the 36-6, his first year as a true starter, when he threw 36 touchdowns and 6 picks. But I always, when I write my articles, if you guys read them, I always say don't blame him totally. A lot of it has to do with
everybody.
Check out the Shadow League. Appreciate you guys, man. I always say Greg Roman is not the right coach for a guy like him. Greg Roman is a run heavy, use the big tight ends. Greg Roman also was the guy that had Colin Kaepernick, and he never developed in San Fran either. And if you guys didn't know this, he also was Andrew Luck's quarterback coach at Stanford. The minute he left, Andrew Luck became a Heisman candidate. So he's had his trouble developing quarterbacks. He's got a great run scheme, one of the best run schemes in the league. But the problem with that run scheme is your quarterback is taken to me. He's been hit 736 times in 4 years. That's the most hits in the league. Only Cam Newton was hit more over 4 years. It's been the most since he's been a starter. That's insane. And he's led the team in rushing all 3 years as a starter. All 3 years as a starting quarterback, he has led the team in rushing. That can't happen. That's a problem. The biggest issue I have with the Ravens is they put this kid in. They basically just say, take the snap, run around, do what you do. And when he doesn't work his magic, it's a problem. But if you look at the scheme, there's really not great route concepts. There's not great mesh concepts. There aren't great 2x2. There isn't no 3x3. There's so many things you could do. And they keep drafting. The Ravens have to keep drafting these young receivers because they can't get a star guy as who was that? Willie Snead made a good comment. I wrote an article. He said that it's not Lamar. It's the fact that the scheme doesn't fit up the upscale receivers. They're not going to go there knowing they're going to get 10 targets a game. They want 15 or 20 shots a game. You know, the top receivers in the league get that every week. When you go to the Ravens, that's going to come down to about 8 or 10 because Mark Andrews is going to get the most targets in the passing game. That's just where they play. So that's an issue. When you got these star receivers that want to be traded, want to be moved, nobody has mentioned Baltimore as a spot. Outside of Antonio Brown mentioned that he wouldn't mind playing there when his cousin was there. Now his cousin wanted out. But that's an issue. So that's a scheme issue. And I love John Harbaugh. I think he's a great coach. But at times, he looks a little archaic in his approach. And to me, the one thing I'm going to wait and see, I think they made 2 good moves last year. They brought in T. Martin to be the wide receivers coach. And he's helping with the passing game. And they brought in, I forgot the other guy's name, 2 black guys. He's the passing game coordinator. And the issue last year wasn't the scheme, because the scheme was much better. The issue last year was they led the league in drops. I watched a game where they had 8 drops as a unit. You can't have that. So you can't put it all on him. Yeah, he's got to get better at some things. And the things he's got to get better at, it really ain't that much. It's really about footwork. It's about ball placement,
mechanics.
It's about carrying out the fake sometimes. He does not do a good job. He's so athletic that he don't have to carry out the fake because he can still get away. But if he does that, it takes the lesson of the hits. It allows the linebackers to hold in the middle of the field a little longer to give you the routes behind them. And it just makes life easier for him as a passer. So it's just little things that someone has to his quarterback coach, Jim Urban, I believe it's Urban, has to do better with that. But I did see improvement. He threw 13 picks. But go back and look, 7 of those were on tip balls, and 3 of those hit receivers right in the hands. So I had and they were in first place when he got hurt. So I mean, yeah, he wasn't playing the greatest throwing the football, but they were 8-3 and number 1 in the AFC when he went down.
Hey,
So
Jody.
and then they went
in
on.
the conference.
Then they went on 6 without him. So I mean, you know the guy's needed. You got to pay that guy, man. You got to pay him. Simple as that.
Jody, you guys just picked up a nice wide receiver, didn't you? You got Amari Cooper out there.
We did. Yes, we
How
did.
would he have looked in a Ravens uniform? Maybe change the coverages a little bit because he's going to draw coverage.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is my thought process on Lamar Jackson. As you can see, I got a Cleveland Brown hat on, so I see
had
Lamar.
to give you some love on that, baby.
Hey, listen, Lamar Jackson is a generational quarterback, and whoever this anonymous person is, man, he don't mean nothing because you a coward anyway when you can't put your name on it. So first and foremost, whoever this anonymous guy, I don't care if you hear it, holla at me. I have no respect for sports writers that don't put a name on it. So his comment is irrelevant to me. I'm a guy that I see as an opponent. We see how good Lamar Jackson is. We know what Lamar Jackson can do in the passing game or whatever. But let me give a couple quarterbacks to you guys that didn't develop right away. One of the guys' name is Rich Gannon. Rich Gannon had to be a journeyman, and before he got to that Oakland system with John Gruden, nobody knew who that guy was, but he ended up being an MVP. He won an MVP. Another guy that we all know and love, his name is Steve Young. Steve Young did not come in the NFL and rip it up until he got into that 49ers scheme. Now, we got Lamar Jackson, who was about 25 years of age and already has been a 2-time Pro Bowler, 1-time MVP, 1-time All-Pro. Does he have the progressions yet? Has he grown to be what we know and love yet? That's the scary part about it. Can he be a better passer? Yes. Is he a great runner? Yes. But last time I checked, when it comes to NFL football, all that seems to matter at the end of the day. Did we win that game? And he's 37-12 as a starter, so evidently he knows how to win. Because at the end of the day, that's what it matters. I don't care if he threw for 300 yards or 3 yards. Did we win that game? We know Lamar Jackson is the problem. If Lamar Jackson wasn't the problem, then y'all wouldn't put spies on him then. If he wasn't the problem, why would y'all change y'all scheme? If he wasn't so much of a problem, why would y'all change y'all coverage on him? Why would y'all put 3 safeties in the game if he wasn't the problem? If he wasn't the problem, why would y'all run 6 defensive backs if he wasn't the problem, y'all? Let's stop with this narrative that this guy can't play the quarterback position. He just doesn't play the quarterback position the way y'all want him to play.
What do you think about that, Tony? That's good stuff, Jody.
I mean, y'all hit it, man.
Tony, we lost you. We're losing Tony there for a sec.
Y'all hear me better?
We can hear you now.
We got you now. You're back.
Yeah. You know, the Deb gave criticism. Jody gave criticism. You criticized. No one is above. But it's the way you guys, they are doing it. And because it's targeted at the quarterback here. It may not hurt these guys because these guys are going to have a combined of $700-800 million. Okay? But what about the little kid who's coming up, who's trying to think about playing quarterback? And he's thinking about, oh, well, you know, all that he's doing, and he isn't good enough. Well, maybe I'm not good enough. But football is a game, so that we can get it. Anybody who's watching, football is a game of development. I don't care if you start out. They did a thing 2 years ago at the Super Bowl, Kansas City versus San Francisco. 40 of the 44 starters were 3-star or below. Okay? And that's what football is. See, you guys, everybody get caught up in a microwave. Football players aren't microwave. Football players is that old oven that your grandma had to make that turkey. You can't just throw this in the microwave, dog. You gotta let it sit in there at 6 in the morning, and it won't come out till 3 in the evening. You gotta let it simmer. You gotta do all that stuff because this generation wants it right now. And if it ain't right now, then it ain't no good.
That's
we need
right.
to stop doing that to all our players. And notice the ones who are in their systems year after year after year after year, notice how better they get. You can't keep changing Jalen Hurts. having 3 different coordinators and 3 different this and that. You can't keep changing systems and think these guys are going to do. Peyton Manning was in one system all his life. Tom Brady, Drew Brees after he got to New Orleans. Think about Aaron Rodgers. These guys know that they know the calls in their sleep. Keep pulling our guys.
Phillip Rivers, yeah. Phillip Rivers was in the that system was always his in San Diego. Even with the coaching changes, they stayed the same system. That was his. Yep.
The terminology, the reads, everything. And go ahead, Jody.
But you know what I'm scared about? The next person we're gonna be talking about is gonna be Fields. First of all, Fields, let's go ahead and jump in front of this before we even get there. Let's jump in front of this train before it even hits. This guy has 0 wide receiver help. He has no receiver on his roster that had 1,000 yards. Y'all not even helping this guy. It's like y'all already dismantling this guy before we start so we can have a narrative next year. Should he be the starting quarterback? That's going to be the narrative. Dev, am I right? This guy, that's the narrative on him already. Can he play? But y'all haven't gave him anything.
What's happened to this kid is criminal. To put him on the field with that offense in front of him, okay? He has no chance. He's literally going to be out there by himself trying to make plays. He's going to get himself killed.
Well, I can only say, go ahead. Who was that? My fault. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut nobody off. It's okay.
Go ahead.
I was going to say the only saving grace for him is I believe Ryan Poles will get it right with him. He's just going to have to take his lumps because Ryan Poles comes from Kansas City where he saw how they did Patrick Mahomes and how they built around Mahomes and what they did to get him in place and to get the pieces around. The problem is the Bears don't have anything anybody would want to be a part of right now, you know, and I think that's why they couldn't land receivers in free agency. Nobody wants to play there. So I believe Ryan Poles and the head coach, who's the head coach? I forgot who the head coach is.
The guy from the Rams.
Yeah, the guy that's supposed to be him and Poles became friends on like a trip where they were talking and whatever, and they became really close. Can't think of the guy's name. Can't think of his name, but I'll figure it out.
It'll come to me in a minute.
Yeah, it'll come to us. And I just think having Ryan Poles gives Justin Herbert a beacon of light because I think Poles being under Andy Reid and seeing Doug Peterson and being under even though he kind of lost he was kind of off. Matt Nagy didn't do a good job with the Bears, but he can coach. He's a good developer of a quarterback. The issue was he's not a good head coach. Everybody can't go from that coordinator position coach seat to head coach. It's tough. Everybody can't do it. And not giving him a pass. I think he threw Justin Fields under the bus by putting him out there against that Cleveland pass rush in week where he had like 9 sacks and they hit him like 20 sometimes.
I'm a Cleveland fan. I feel bad for him.
Yeah, well, it was so bad I'm saying it was so bad. It was so bad that Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett are walking by him, asking him, "Is he okay?" Because they were hitting him so much, and I'm like, man, this is bad. But you can't be around that every week, every day, and see how they groom Patrick Mahomes and surprisingly snuck in there and got him so high in the draft when no one else was talking about him. You know, they were sneaking down to Lubbock for 3 years watching him. No one knew they were doing it. Andy Reid and his crew were sliding down to Lubbock every chance they got, and they were working on, and no one was talking about this Mahomes guy. They always talking about Baker Mayfield in the Big 12. Anyone else but Mahomes. And here Mahomes comes, and he's the best of the bunch. You know, and secondly, I told Tony, you know, I'm big on the high school college ranking thing, even though I don't really care about the stars. I told Tony, I know back in the day they used to categorize quarterbacks as one unit, but because the dual threat became the black guy was a dual threat, they separated him into pocket passer and dual threat so that the pocket passer can still get a high ranking. Because if you didn't, most of the top guys would be dual threat guys and they would be the top of the list and they would be your 5 stars. If you look now, Eli Manning's nephew just got bumped down from the #1 recruit in the nation. He's a statue. The kid from USC is better, as well as 3 or 4 other guys are better. He's not the best in that class. He's going off the name. Yeah. He's not that good against good competition. He stinks.
So,
can I say something? Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
We can hear you.
Okay. So, folks, so we can understand the game of football. That defensive lineman now is so quick and so fast that you can't be a statue no more. Now, Tom Brady, let's just honor him right now. He can He can manipulate the pocket by his eyes, by his cadence, by all that, and that buys him time in the move. But nowadays, dog, you have to be able to move at that quarterback position because every position is athletic on that defensive side of the ball. Everyone from the 3 technique to the 5 to the wide 9 to everyone is athletic. So, folks, we don't have time to get a quarterback who just gonna sit here and if that read ain't open, he can't take it and put pressure on these guys right here. Those days are over. That NFL is gone. So those dual threat quarterbacks, or how should I say, the Herberts and Mahomes of the world, the ones who can slide and still be able to get you 5 and slide and move in the pocket. That is the future. And if you don't like it, stop watching the sport.
Can I jump here real quick, Dave? If y'all
Yes.
We talk and we have criticized Jalen Hurts, we have criticized Lamar Jackson, we have criticized Kyler Murray. We know the criticism is coming for Justin Fields. What you know and nobody talking about is Justin Herbert has yet to make the playoffs yet. And everybody's saying he's this top tier quarterback who has yet to win 10 games in this league. He has yet to go to the playoffs and he has yet to win a playoff game. But I hear zero criticism for that gentleman. Zero. And we're talking quarterbacks right here. And I'm going to keep it all the way real with you guys and everybody's watching. The narrative is starting to stink. It's starting to have a stench because it's like, why are we talking about these African Americans? Justin Hurts, as bad as they trying to say he played, he took that Philadelphia Eagle team who was banged up on the offensive line, who didn't have a number 1 receiver. Smith came in and played very well out of Alabama. The running game was beat up. They got 3 of the same running backs in there, but he still took them to the playoffs. Fletcher Cox was in and out of the lineup with injuries. They were banged up in the secondary, and they still made the playoffs. And I'm not saying they gave Tampa. But we're talking about these Lamar Jackson, who we've seen how good he's been. He's 1-3 in the playoffs, but give him a chance. Kyler Murray I think that got a lot to do with his head coach too. We letting him off the hook by putting all this criticism on Kyler Murray, but nobody is talking about Justin Herbert not making the playoffs yet. Somebody talk to me. Somebody talk to me.
I think with Herbert, he's been very good. He's been very good. I will say that he's been very good. He's had some moments where he's looked like a rookie at times, but to his credit, and I agree with you, he hasn't made it. His defense is ranked in the bottom half of the league both years, and they haven't been able to get off the field on 3rd down. And now with Khalil Mack and they added J.C. Jackson, you should see Kenneth Murray play. Kenneth Murray is a dog at middle linebacker. You're gonna see him really play out of his mind now.
Right.
Derwin James is the real meter for them. If he's healthy, they're a Super Bowl contender. But his health has been an issue since Florida State. So when he's healthy, they're dominant. When he's not, they really can't stop a nosebleed. So I agree with you on Justin Herbert, but the talent is there. They're not going to put him in that proverbial box because of what he looks like. We know that. But I will say for Justin Herbert, he's overachieved because when he left Oregon, nobody knew he could do this. People knew he had a big arm, and they knew that he could move. They didn't know he was this accurate, and they didn't know he was this good in the intermediate either because in that offense in Oregon, it was more of him just using his legs and throwing off schedule. He's shown the ability to do everything since he's been in the pros.
But Dad, Brian Flores knew how good he was. That's why he's not the head coach of the Miami Dolphins because that's who he wanted. He wanted Justin Fields over Tua.
Well, Justin Fields Tua is a smaller guy. Tua is built more like Drew Brees. And, sort of the Drew Brees of the league. Bryce Young is sort of in that category like them as well, undersized. And we all knew Tua's arm strength, as good as it looked on the slants and the deep balls, we knew Tua didn't have the accuracy to really throw the deep ball consistently when he's not clean. He has to be clean at all times to make that throw. So with Herbert, he's 6'6", 240 pounds. You can be hanging off of him and he can throw. We saw a couple throws last year where that throw against the Giants where the guy hit him as he threw it and he threw it about 70 yards in the air. You can't teach that. That's why he doesn't get and he can move. You can't teach the stuff he can do. He's got this thing about him that you just can't teach. The only thing, like you said, is he has to make the playoff. I think this is the year he finally makes it, though. I think they get in this year.
Can I say this to you, fellas? Let's get it straight. We're going to criticize everyone.
Oh, yeah.
should be criticizing everyone equally here, is what we're saying.
Yeah,
Right.
Because,
definitely.
Right.
Definitely.
guys, my favorite quarterback out of all these quarterbacks is my man who should have won the Super Bowl last year.
Joe Burrow.
My favorite quarterback is my man Joe Burrow. That's my
Joe
man.
Cool. Joe
Right.
Joe
Cool.
Cool. Now, I'm gonna tell you right now, the most dangerous quarterback in this league next year is playing in Cleveland, Ohio. He
Oh, yeah.
has a running game and
Yep.
he has a first down maker
Mhm.
in by the way of Dallas. Dallas may have given Cleveland the upper hand because I'm telling you, when those games get close in December and January, that damn Cooper is going to be making those first downs and
He's a
keeping that
great player.
clock going
He
and
is a great
shortening
player.
those
He's a great
games in
receiver.
the playoffs.
Yep.
I am telling you, I can see it. I'm looking at it right now because they look like the old NFC teams. They play good defense. They're going to have a good running game. They got a quarterback, if they ask your boy Watson to carry the team, he carried the team in college. Hell, his best season he had is when he had nobody on the Texans. He had less
Yeah.
than what Justin Fields got right now in
Yeah, he did.
Chicago.
No,
Yeah, he
he
did.
had no
Carried
hop.
that team.
Facts.
Nope.
No
Facts.
hop.
Nope.
Dude, you better hope that they suspend him for a year. Because if he played this year, come Arizona, it's going to be Kansas City and Cleveland going at it for that AFC championship. So you can talk about all these other quarterbacks all you want, but that damn Sean Watson, Mr. Massage, is going to be right there fighting. Bill Cosby going right
They
there.
tough. They got a tough roster, man. They got a tough
He gonna
roster.
be
Their
right
roster
there.
got some dudes. They got some dudes on that roster, man.
I
Yeah.
thought he got 6 games. I thought it was 6 games, Tony.
Yeah,
No,
but I think
that's
that was a
the-
false report. That was a false report.
that's the belief 6 to 8. That's been like the
I
belief.
think it
They
has to
haven't
be
really.
8 games. I
I think it'll
has
be
to
8 games. I think it'll be 8,
They
and then
have
he
to
can
give
probably
him more. They've
probably
gotta
try
give
to appeal it and get it down to 6 more than likely. He can
But
probably
they have
appeal,
to
but I
give
think
him
he'll
more than they
lay
gave
low and probably
Zeke.
take the 8 and just keep it moving.
They have to
Take
give
the
him more
6.
than they gave
Hey,
Zeke.
we got our man Al is on here. He was talking about Tua's accuracy. He was talking about Miles Sanders. He thought Miles Sanders. The problem with the Eagles is the Eagles don't have a top back. They got a bunch of third down backs. They need a top back to compete
They need
against
Bama.
Dallas in that division. Tua is Tua. We're about to find out about Tua a whole lot for them this year.
Yeah.
The AFC to me is be tight. I mean, y'all saw my Final Four in the AFC. I got the Ravens, I got the Browns, I got the Chiefs, and who's my other team?
Chargers.
Bengals.
Chargers. I
Oh, you
think.
said Chargers.
Yeah, I don't see Buffalo there because
Whoa.
when I told you, Dev, and I told you,
Yeah,
Jody,
you told me.
everybody talks about Buffalo right now, but it's different when you're the underdog versus the favorite. That
Right.
pressure bust pipes or create diamonds. And I think in this case, it's going to bust a whole bunch of pipes up there in Buffalo. I don't see them this year doing it because they got too much pressure on them. Everybody's expecting. When's the last time teams go to the Super Bowl, not Tom Brady, with all the pressures on them?
That's true.
It's hard. It's hard to do that shit, dude. This is the NFL, man.
It's tough.
Let's be honest.
Tough.
This is the NFL. On that side of the thing, the AFC, the champion of the Super Bowl, will come out of the AFC this year.
But you know what,
Okay.
Dave, I want to. You brought up the Tua situation. Everybody say his accuracy is in the question. This is why I love doing what we do, because people just tend to watch ESPN, but we're gonna come with the TD report. We're gonna give it real. I want you to look at his numbers for the amount of time he's been in the league next to Drew Brees, and I bet you will be surprised how accurate and how many wins he had, because he's better. He has more completions, his completion percentage is better. He has more wins than Drew Brees during the time that he was in the first few years that Tua's been in the league, and Drew Brees. So I want y'all to go back and do some homework and some
That's the
research.
microwave versus the oven, Jody. That's the microwave versus the oven. I'm not falling for the banana and tailpipe. I know these guys gotta have time to be developed. But we get in that, that crap. I'm part of the problem too. I need to step back and stop with that. Because when you do that, you're going to end up losing a good quarterback, a good coach, a good OC,
Right.
a good DC. You're going to end up losing a whole lot of that crap, man. I look at Virginia Tech. If Beamer would have been coaching now, they would have fired him.
Right.
He would have been gone.
Yeah.
Our greatest coach would have been gone simply because of the talking
The way the
heads.
game has changed. The way the
But
game
the-
has changed too.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Dev,
It's
Dev,
Uh-huh.
Tua's your guy, right?
Yeah. I love
what's
to.
that?
Tua's your guy.
Yeah.
Do everybody realize that he had a 7-game winning streak last year?
Yes,
Yeah,
he
great,
did.
yeah.
I knew that.
I'm just
He played well.
I'm just throwing that out there.
You know,
Yeah.
here's the thing, Jody. Tua's main problem is this. It's the same problem that Steph Curry had his first 4 years in the league. Couldn't stay healthy.
Yeah.
That's the issue. Once you can get Tua healthy, where he's not jumping around a lot, he might have a chance to be a pretty good quarterback in this league. But the best ability is availability. If you're not available to play, you're not going to invest the reps and practice into somebody to get them to where they can have that base of knowledge. What do you think about that?
But Dave, don't you realize that it's a guy that just won a Super Bowl last year named Matthew Stafford that had injuries early on in his career?
Correct. And he has
I'm
to get over that.
I just like to keep it real. I just don't like
Yes,
the
I
narrative
love it.
that
Love
people
it.
try to spin. Let's put everything in perspective. We study this stuff. I got a full-time job, but I studied it. I know Dev studied this stuff, and I know Tony studied, and I know you studied. We got to give the truth out here. We talk about Draymond Green and the new media. We can't keep letting y'all hear what ESPN wants
Right.
y'all to hear.
Yeah. And
No
you're not gonna hear
disrespect
that
to
here.
ESPN.
Yeah,
No
this ain't
disrespect.
ESPN. Yeah, we don't
But
do that.
we gonna sit up here and say Tua has an injury problem, which he may have a little, but it takes some time to get healed. But Matthew Stafford was injured his first couple of years with the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, that's because he played for the Detroit Lions.
But he played for the Miami Dolphins.
Exactly, right?
we ain't talking about like the Miami Dolphins had 3 winning seasons over the last 20 years. We want to talk about my Browns. They ain't too far behind them. Miami has 3 winning seasons in the last 20 years. Since they lost Dan Marino, they've been searching for a quarterback. Don't run Tua out of town. Y'all already ran y'all best coach out of town, Brian Flores, because y'all didn't agree or whatever you want to call it. Y'all don't want. Let's talk facts. Let's talk facts.
Well, I think with this. Go ahead, Dave.
That you bring in a different. We bring a different perspective on this show than you're going to find on the big shows, and definitely, on the mothership on ESPN. But what I appreciate is that you guys want to think outside the box, and that's the important part about sports: is to not just buy the narrative, right, Jody, and just go with the facts. Take wherever the facts are leading you. That's where you should be going.
Well, Tua can silence all the critics this year. He got a nice running back with Chase Edmonds and Mostert. He got 2 good backs, and he's got Cedric Wilson and Tyreek Hill to go with Jalen Waddle, and he's got Gesicki. He ain't got no excuse this year with his whole entire arsenal there. If he can stay healthy, he's going to have a great year. He's going to have a great year.
But Tony,
got to stay healthy.
What Tony? This is a question for you. So what is it that Tua has to do? What's his record? How many games do we have to win to get everybody off his back? What did he have to do?
Well, here's what I think may happen. If I'm right about Buffalo, then I think Miami may be the sneak team in that division. I think Miami might sneak up on more people than what you think. I think because not having no pressure, having all those weapons, that may be a difference. And their defense is pretty tight. Their defense is not bad.
Miami defense dominant, man. They got some dominant youngins over there, man. Their secondary is elite.
So
with Howard and Jones and Holland and them boys can play.
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell you, my sleeper in the AFC East is the New York Jets. I'm a little high on them. I like a lot of their pieces. I think their defense has more guys than people believe. And go ahead, Tony. But it's gonna come down to the MILF hunter, and what he can do.
It's
gonna come down to the MILF hunter, man.
Listen. I just want everybody. I need to see this woman. She might be somebody I might want to talk to.
Go ahead, Dave.
She about your age.
Older anyway.
I want everybody to realize that Tua does have a winning record since he's came into the league as a starter. I just want everybody to understand
he does.
He has a winning record. He has a better winning record than any quarterback that was drafted in his class.
Hey, Jody, you know what's funny?
He does.
Quarterbacks are like dating a really pretty girl, man. Doesn't matter how good they are. There's always something that they want more of what you can give, right?
That's
So
true.
nobody's satisfied. It could be a 1 carat ring. She wants a 1.5.
Right.
If it's a 1.5 carat ring, she wants 2 carats.
What did Janet Jackson say? What have you done for me lately? I guess even in the off season, you need to be better. You know you gotta complete every pass. Did y'all hear about that stuff in Pittsburgh where the fans?
You better hit that study hall.
Right. Did y'all hear that the fans in Pittsburgh was booing Mitch Trubisky because he had 2 incomplete passes and they were calling for Pickett?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you right now, with the defense they had, Trubisky's the best chance for them to be a playoff team because they have a good defense and they have some weapons on offense. Najee Harris can tote the mail. Deontay Johnson isn't there right now. He's doing limited stuff till he gets a new deal, but he's a good receiver. I think Chase Claypool is really going to play better this year. I think George Pickens is a real sleeper from Georgia. Big, physical, can run. The tight end, Freiermuth is a top 5 tight end, in my opinion, he's coming into that top 5 or 7 group of tight ends. And I'm going to tell you that the guy that you remember this name, Calvin Austin III from Memphis, is going to be a slot receiver that is going to cause hell in the NFL with his ability to get in and out of breaks and make third down catches to get first downs and keep the chains moving.
Okay.
But Dev, what you forgot to mention, because like I said, the Midwest, that division, they did not upgrade that offensive line enough to block Trey Hendrickson, that Baltimore pass rush, and definitely like Clowney and Myles Garrett. That's where I think that the problem come in at for the Steelers.
Whoa, Jody. Let's think. That
they were young. They were young, very young, and they weren't that bad. They just had some moments, but overall, they weren't that bad to me. They were very young. Very,
what
very
I
young.
say about football is about developing. It's about reps. The more reps you get, the better you become. And that is what, out of all these managed teams that are managed well, let's do it. Pittsburgh,
New England,
Baltimore, New England,
Kansas City.
Used to be Green Bay.
Kansas City.
Kansas City. I mean, these teams have a system. They're managed very well. And you know what? I should say this. The team that cycles the most and they're going to come back are the Giants. They're not bad ownership. And if people keep sleeping on them, if Barkley come and Danny Nichols become Danny Dimes, they're going to be a problem too. So, those things like that, man, happen.
Tony, if I was 6'8", I'd probably be in the NBA. So I'm not going. It's a lot of what ifs going on in New York.
Well, what I will say this about the Steelers is having somebody like Trubisky will help against those kind of pass rushers because he's athletic, he can move.
But
if you put Kenny Pickett back there, he's athletic, but he ain't seen the kind of defense he gonna see. That's why I said Trubisky will give you a better chance. Not saying they're going to be a great team with him, but he gives you a better chance with the defense they can play behind them to give you success each week. You can be successful with him.
But the thing about it with Tony and Dave that y'all said, and Dave, what y'all said about the offensive line being young, but they're young at the most unopportune spot, which is left tackle. That's where that left tackle position takes about 3 to 4 years to kind of learn that. And that's where I fear for the Pittsburgh. They'll make adjustments. They'll put a running back.
That's where Matt Canada got to make his money, and you got to chip guys and help guys out. Instead of Freiermuth.
But that's why
you got to bring Freiermuth in some and stop putting him out as a wide out. Bring him in, let him chip, and then let him slip. You know what I'm saying?
But that's why you got Trubisky going to play because a rookie quarterback can't. That's a bad combination.
It's a bad
job for a rookie.
Yeah,
you're right.
And a rookie quarterback.
That's what Justin Fields is dealing with in Chicago right now.
Yeah, that's a bad combination.
Hey, listen. If Justin Fields had Rashawn Stanley on his team and saw him walk into camp, he probably just hugged him. You see what I'm saying? Because that kid is going to need some protection this year.
Oh, he in trouble,
especially on third downs.
He in trouble, dude. That division. And listen, so next week, Jody and I are going to be live, and you guys are going to tune in. We're going to be there, and we'll be able to see the Jaguars, and we'll be able to see the Raiders. They're on two different spectrums. The Raiders are supposed to be all that with the number one receiver. The Jaguars may be the sneak team in that division this year. We'll be able to see the rosters, be able to check them out. I'm
Okay.
thinking that the quarterback for the Jaguars, I'm thinking he's going to probably play a quarter because, remember, it's a new system and they got an extra preseason game. So
Yeah.
he has to see live bullets with that
Yeah.
system. They got to get used to that system. They can't wait and put you on the side with your hat backwards like you done did something in the pros. No, they going to be going, they got to see live bullets, dude. So we may see what these boys about. I know ATN got to play. These guys next week got to play. Now, I don't know how the Raiders going to do it because they got to get the timing down, but these guys played together in college. So
can't wait to see the guy that broke the wide receiver market. I can't wait to see the guy that broke the wide receiver market over for everybody. Can't wait to see him.
You talking about Christian Kirk? Hey,
Hey guys, I'm just excited to see football again.
Me too,
really
man.
am.
Me
I
too.
missed
Me
it,
too.
1 week.
but
1 week.
it's gonna be a lot of fun this year.
1 week is going to be a lot of fun. Folks, you mean to make sure, because, see, I ask you guys questions because, see, I'm the only one on here that's a betting man. And I'm trying to get my money this year. So I need to know the real about every single thing. When you talk about Chicago, I'm
Here go
betting
the winning
hard
numbers right here.
Hey,
this year.
Dave,
But
don't forget
I
about
think
me, man.
Team,
Me
Don't
neither,
forget
man.
about me.
Hey Jody, I
I
got
got
you,
me I got me a couple sitting over here, so I ain't gonna forget
Hey,
nobody. I
Hey,
got y'all.
Dev,
Yeah.
we gonna get you the POV Cruiser, baby. We gonna get you that big Madden
Let's
mobile.
get it. Let's get it, baby. Let's get it. Let's get it.
yeah,
But
hit all the games. I wish we could go to some of the games. Now, folks, did you see the picture of the Washington Commanders training camp?
Oh, that was embarrassing. That was embarrassing.
you know what's funny, man? I talked to JP Finley yesterday, from the one that covers the team. I talked to him yesterday. He's a friend of mine.
NBC
And
Sports Washington.
yeah, I talked to him yesterday about 8:30 last night, and he was saying that this year they have a raffle. You have to get picked to come out there.
What?
You can't just show up. You can't just show up this year. So
Get the hell
yeah,
out of here, Redskins.
and they're actually charging too to come. Yeah.
Huh?
Pay and you have to get man. It's the weirdest thing.
So you see what happened?
I didn't want to tell nobody because it's embarrassing.
You
but that's what
you
he
got to
told
go
me.
to see the Washington Commanders play, and your mama gonna say you have Washington Commanders money.
He said they did he said you have to put your name in and you have to get chosen what day you can come.
Jason
Shouldn't
Wright.
You can't just show up
Jason
whenever you
Wright.
want this year.
What are you doing?
Hey, shouldn't they have a winning season before they try something like that?
It's a mess, man. It's a mess. It's a mess. And then the owner, y'all know the owner testified before the Senate today.
He did.
Yeah,
11
He came
hours.
to DC. He came back to well, no, he did it from his boat.
Yeah, he did it from the yacht.
The yacht, he didn't even come. He's out in the south of France on the yacht doing that. That dude is
I got to
unbelievable.
give me one of those.
Yeah, me
Wait,
too. He got that thing is unbelievable, man.
His
It is
team
unbelievable,
is in
Dave.
training camp.
Yeah,
he's
not
out
there.
on a boat.
He's out on the yacht. Yeah, out there in the south of France. He's
I
out.
want to
south of
get
France,
me a
man.
yacht with a lot of women on it. That's what I want.
But you know, Tony,
Like
it might not be a. Go ahead, hey Dave. If you get one, I'm on there with you. Hey,
All right.
let me tell you.
That's
After
what
my
I
wife
want.
kills me. But
You
it's
can always
funny that
blame
you
it on
say
me,
that.
man.
Hey, it's funny you say that though, Tony, because it's actually might not be a bad thing that he's not at camp. It might not be a bad thing. I mean, him away from the
You know
team
it's
isn't
bad.
really a bad thing,
Hey, Dad,
Wait a minute.
you know it's bad
Him
when
away
your
from
owner
the
is a
team.
distraction.
They charging people to get in.
Yeah, he's
They
still making his money.
raffling or whatever.
Yes.
Man, you can't do no worse.
Didn't one of y'all didn't the tight end retire today?
Yeah, Gandy Golden going back to Liberty. Yeah.
Yep.
Going back to get his degree and be
AGG.
supposed to be a quote unquote Hugh Freeze told him he could come back and finish and be a graduate assistant. if he
Great
ever
move
wanted
by
to.
that young man.
It's a very
Good.
good move.
Get out of it.
Good.
He wasn't gonna make that roster anyway, so it's a good move.
No, if he hadn't made it by now, if he hadn't,
And they made him switch position, and they made him switch positions and everything. He wasn't making that roster.
not gonna happen.
So they're big on
The
that.
roster is loaded.
Well, the tight ends, they are better tight ends than him on that roster.
Yeah, they're better tight ends, and he's
They're
learning
much better
the position.
prospects. He's
Yeah,
learning, and I think to a man, he was one of the best receivers Liberty's ever had. I think it kind of hurt him a little bit that he can't play receiver anymore. I think that kind of crushed him a little. Like, wait a minute, that's what I've always done. Like, I don't want to be in the league if I can't. Great hands, physical, can run, but the issue has been injuries. Just injuries. He's been hurt his whole time he's been here. You know, but
Hey, y'all
So
know Jody
listen.
coming here on New Year's Eve.
Oh, you already know.
He coming
You
in
coming out here?
Cleveland versus the
Cleveland and
Washington
the Commanders.
Commanders.
Okay,
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
get together. Hey, we'll
Oh,
get
yeah.
together.
Yeah, let's do
We'll
that.
get together.
I was
Yeah.
hoping y'all was gonna be up in Canton, but you know we gonna represent.
Yeah, we'll be
Yeah,
together. If you come east, come through, man.
I'll be
Matter of
I'll be
fact,
down there.
That'll
Excellent.
be one of the games. That'll be one of the few games I attend for the Washington Commanders because I don't go out there much no more. I used to be season ticket holder and I got tired, so I'll get tickets for that one though.
Oh,
Hey
we
guys,
down.
this is
We
one of
gonna
our
make it
best
happen. I'll be
shows,
down there.
man.
Yeah, we can.
It was great
I'll make sure you
topics
get
today.
make sure
Thank
you get
y'all.
with the tailgate. It was at the tailgate group I'm with. Make sure you over there with us.
Okay.
I'm
Man,
have all
we get it
Cleveland
in.
gear on them. I'm be Cleveland
That's
down
cool,
to the
man.
socks.
Man, we don't care about that. We don't care about that. We just have a good
Hey.
time, man. We drink and get it in, man. Yep.
Great show, guys.
Hey,
We'll
fellas.
be back next week. Tony, hit me tomorrow so we can talk about the schedule.
Yeah, we'll hit you tomorrow. We'll set the schedule up.
Okay.
Folks, so they're looking. We're going to be in Canton for the game, Jacksonville versus the Raiders. We're going to go live, too. Make sure you check Jody on TikTok because we're going to try to get some interviews with some of the Hall of Famers.
Mhm.
We're just going to be out there networking, doing everything. We're going to come TD Report, Facebook page. We're going to hit you. We might just hit you every time we hit one of the superstars.
Yep.
One of the people in the gold jackets.
Yep.
We come to your state, Jody.
Hey, no doubt. But hey, Tony, I want everybody to know that the best running back of all time is Al Bundy. I just want to let y'all know that, man.
Polk High,
Lincoln
baby.
High School, baby.
Polk High, baby. Hey, I want to say also, Tony, let them know. Hey, Tony,
33.
let them know we're gonna be doing some telestrator work on the quarterbacks this year on here too.
Yeah.
Love
so
it.
what
Love
we're gonna do is try to get Dad with the telestrator on the quarterbacks, and we want to get Tommy on the back end on the defense for the Commanders and stuff like that. So we're trying to educate folks so they can stop with all these BS narratives. So
Right.
while we on it, Deb, so when we start pulling up the quarterbacks and how they play and just going through teaching y'all the game, because a lot of you folks, y'all are nacho eating, beer drinking fans. And
What's wrong
you
with me
have
eating
no
nachos?
idea.
We love y'all though.
I like nachos.
Love you.
We love y'all though.
But see, Dave,
stop talking
the
like
difference
you know.
between you and them, you actually know what you're talking about. We're talking about people that just
sometimes.
watch and don't know what they're talking. No, you know what you're
It's
talking about. Man.
crazy.
You're a
I'm
point,
probably
bro.
watching more football than those guys that eat the nachos. Yeah.
Yeah, but I've already researched all 32 offenses, so I got them down to a T.
Good.
How the
good.
quarterback's how the quarterback's footwork should go, how his reads are, all that. I can pretty much sit here and probably tell you about each team's offense in depth right now if we had 3 or 4 hours. I really could.
That's
Good.
great.
And what they're looking to do.
I need to know that for gambling purposes,
Gotcha.
so I can make
Gotcha.
my money. You
No
know,
gambling.
Yep.
Hey, look, it's entertainment purposes only. Everybody on camera. If you got a gambling problem, you need to call the state of Maryland for that.
hey, call whatever. They
Yep.
got my
All right.
money at that casino, and I'm going to get it.
All right.
Yeah. Get them.
Yes, sir.
Bam. Hey, man.
Thanks,
Good
guys.
seeing y'all, fellas.
Appreciate you
out.
guys, man.
Yes,
Always,
sir.
always a pleasure,
TD
baby.
Report,
Good talk.
everybody.
Definitely.
Going
All right,
back
baby.
to the text.
That's
All
it.
right, brothers.
All right, man. Catch y'all.
All right.